If you're the person in your group responsible for the music library, you'll know that this can be quite a lot of work. And if that's the case, you'll be pleased to know that Musos Online can simplify this work quite considerably. To use this functionality, you will either need to be group admin or you'll need to have been assigned library authorization by your group admin. Assuming you currently have a list of all your music stored in a spreadsheet of some form, the first thing to do is to save that data as a CSV file. CSV stands for comma separated values, which basically means that each bit of information is separated from the next by a comma. It's the most common way of transferring data between spreadsheets and databases, and so whatever you're currently using, whether it's Microsoft Excel, OpenOffice Calc, Apple Numbers or whatever, you should find some option to transfer your data into a CSV file. It will usually be under Export or Save As, and the net result will be a CSV file containing all your data. If you're not sure how to do this, just check the documentation for your spreadsheet or database, or Google it. Now, if your library is stored in multiple sheets of a spreadsheet, you can either consolidate them all into one sheet first, or else create and upload separate CSV files for each sheet. It's up to you. Don't worry about how many columns you have or what order they're in. As long as you have at least one column containing the titles of each piece of music, that's enough. And it doesn't matter whether you have a header in the first row, like title, composer, and so on, or not. Just delete any empty rows and then create your CSV file. Once you have that, select it here. You'll then see the number of rows and the number of columns per row that it found displayed here. So check that those numbers make sense to you. You then need to map the columns it found to the right fields in our database. You'll almost certainly find that there are more fields to choose from than you have columns, which is fine. We've tried to think of every possible detail of a piece of music that you might want to capture in the database. But like I said, the only mandatory field is the title of the piece. In this column, the first column it found is labelled NO, short for number, so this maps to our catalogue number. If you happen to have a column which doesn't correspond to any of the field options listed, then you'll just have to leave it blank. But if it's one you think that we should have included, then please let us know. Any columns that you don't manually map to a field will just be ignored and therefore not included in the database. If you look at the preview down here, this will show what the first 5 entries in the database will look like. And as you can see here, it currently thinks the headers row is another piece of music. To correct that, just select the option to ignore first row as headers. And now you'll see that it all looks correct, so we can just click Import to the library. And that's it, all done. If you now visit the library page, you will see that all the data you just uploaded is listed here. Clicking any of these titles will open up further details. All your group members will now have search and read access to your entire music library, but of course they won't see this edit button or any of these management options unless you've given them library authorization. Incidentally, you can also do the reverse of what we've just done and download the current library, including whatever changes you may have made, from this database back to your device. As you would expect, if you click Edit, you can change or add details to any of the entries you uploaded. It's all fairly self-explanatory, except perhaps this one, Status. When I said the only mandatory field was the title, that wasn't quite true. By default, the upload process also set a default status of In the Library for each piece. The other options are Given Out, which means it's in the current pad, To Hand In, which is fairly obvious, and Other, which could mean that it's been temporarily loaned to another group, or it's just been lost, burned, or shredded. I've come across a few arrangements in my time that deserve the latter. Now, you can change that status manually here like this, but a better way to do it is to do it in bulk via the Manage Active Pad function, which I'll cover in a separate video. For now, thanks for watching.